I know somebody had to take a drug test, so he brought a little sample jar of drug-free piss with him. Went into the toilet, came out, gave the fake sample to whoever was doing the test, and got fired on the spot. The sample was cold. Fresh piss is hot. I owned a pet store, and a young man came in looking for work. He seemed quite personable and had been a bit of a regular customer with his mom, so we gave him a chance. Turns out he's anaphylactic allergic to fish, and not just eating them, touching them. Live fish, fish food, which is made out of fish, cat and dog food with fish, etc. We were like, it's no problem, I have an EPI pen. No. You wouldn't look for a job at a peanut factory if you were allergic to nuts. I can't believe his mom even allowed it. We had a guy who we hired who showed a lot of potential in sales. He was a little arrogant and had a good-sized ego, but wasn't enough of a problem. He was very good at sales, and eventually it went to his head. He started showing up late all the time, leaving early, cutting corners where he could. The final straw came when he showed up late and someone spoke up about it to him. He decided the best choice of words he could yell were, "I make the most sales and I have the biggest dick, so you can all fuck off." He was fired on the spot. Customers thought it was pretty funny though. No call, no show, second day of work. His mom called later for his paycheck and said he got locked up. He had a common name, so we missed the online article about his recent meth arrest. It was a manager of mine. He always asked for a ton of time off, and I always gave it to him. He put in a time request form for 2 days that I blocked because I had something to do that weekend. I told him I'm sorry, but I can't give you those 2 days. It was to go to a wrestling show, which was what he normally asked for days off for. Not a funeral, wedding, etc. It was a Friday, and I walked in and he had written a note hanging up saying he wasn't going to be coming into work that weekend and wished to continue working for me. I had to cancel my plans and fired the guy. I fired a guy for claiming that for almost every single week for a year, at least one of the days was a holiday of some sort and wouldn't come in. But since you're not allowed to ask about religion or fire over religious stuff, it was quite difficult. He got fired when he was on the company feedback message board getting into vulgar fights with people over shit in almost every argument. He said something like, "That's why I'm an atheist." For some odd reason, yep. Was just having a conversation with my granddad about when he used to own a business. He told me the only employee he regrets hiring was the son of an army NCO during the Vietnam years. Apparently this guy was a great candidate and seemed enthused to be applying for his first job, 18 at the time. My granddad offered him a job starting the next day, but warned him if he drove, he'd have to move his car every 2 hours to avoid the street parking fine. Anyway, he showed up to work the next day and set about learning the ropes. After 2 hours, my granddad tells him to move the car so he doesn't get in trouble. This kid goes to move his car and never comes back, much to my granddad's annoyance. Anyway, being the son of an army man himself, granddad calls in a favor and tracks down this kid's father. He tells the guy what happens and gets the kid's address. Apparently the father said to beat the shit out of the lazy rascal. He goes over to find this guy smoking pot with his girlfriend and drinking a beer, and the only explanation he offered was that he was bored. Needless to say, he didn't have a job and never got paid for those 2 hours. Not a business owner, but this happened to one of my coworkers. Guy was extremely nerdy, and this is from a self-admitting nerd, and absolutely obsessed with Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Literally the only things he would ever talk about, and would talk about them for as long as you'd let him. One day I'm on the register and I see him being dragged out of the store by cops in handcuffs. Turns out he had been shoplifting tons of playing cards from those above listed games. At least $500 worth, as our store policy was to let an employee get away with it up to that amount before busting them. I think because the charges stick harder or something. I was hiring for a government contract that required everyone to be drug tested. I told the guy in the interview that he would be drug tested. Hired, failed the drug test, fired. When I told him he failed the drug test, he said, "Yeah, I knew I would." The employee had a corporate card, charged a vacation, purse, fossil watch, takeout, along with overall being miserable to work with. Had the laptop stolen within weeks of joining. Fired her, and a few days later, a watch catalog from Fossil showed up at the office with her name on it. Have active court cases for all the theft. I've told this story before, but it sticks with me. Years ago, like in the 90s, my husband worked for a small company. He did a little bit of everything, and one of his jobs, along with the coworker, was keeping all the computers running. Now, this was a sales-based company, so all of the salespeople had laptops for themselves. If there was an issue or problem, they'd bring them in to be looked at. So one day, one of the non-local sales guys was in for a meeting. He said, "Hey, my computer is running really slowly. Can you take a look at it?" My husband says, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Sales guy leaves the computer and goes to whatever meeting he was off to. My husband and his colleague take a look and see that the disk is nearly full and figured that was slowing things down. They dig deeper and see the computer is filled with porn, like filled with it. Porn of all sorts, nothing illegal per se, but very close to it. Now, mind you, the salespeople signed an agreement that their assigned computer was for business use only, not personal use. So we have a slight problem here. My husband and his colleague, not wanting to make a mountain out of a molehill and not wanting the guy to lose his job over a fixable problem, just wiped the drive clean, reformatted it, got things set up again, and the computer was working great. The guy comes back the next day and my husband goes, "Hey, sales guy, we took a look at your computer. It was running slowly because the disk was nearly full with personal files. So we wiped it clean, reformatted things, and you're good to go." You know, just a reminder that our company issued computers are for business use only. If you're looking for something for personal use, here are some relatively inexpensive laptops with a lot of storage space. You can put whatever you want on it, small investment for privacy, you know. And with that, they gave him a printout list of some good, reasonably priced laptops he could purchase for himself. The sales guy just kind of mumbled something, grabbed his computer, and was on his way without so much as a thank you. Well, the guys figured that was that, but guess who was back 6 weeks later with a not working at all computer? Yep, dumbass problem. Yep, the computer was again filled with porn. They were done at this point. The two of them went straight to the president's office, showed her what was on the computer, well enough to give her an idea, and explained what had happened previously. She was a very no-nonsense lady, so needless to say, by 3 p.m. that afternoon, that sales guy was no longer employed. What an idiot.